For many years, I despised TikTok, and to a certain extent, I still do. It is a time-sucking app that makes you feel addicted and turns you into a person who is unable to focus on anything longer than 2 minutes unless you have Subway Surfers gameplay in the corner. But every so often, it is an amazing way to advertise your content for both indie creators and huge companies. And so without TikTok, I would have probably never learned about the existence of Disney Pixar's show Win or Lose. Imagine my surprise the moment I realized it's not just some 5 minutes long short animation added before the full movie, but a mini-series containing 8 wonderful and unique episodes. The concept of the entire series is that we are following a bunch of characters who are connected to a kids softball team, who for the first time in forever ended up being in finals. So the last match of the season is the event we are all awaiting for, but before that, we get to see how life works for all different kinds of characters. Some of them are kids from their team, other times it's either their sibling, parent, or a teacher. What is the most unique about this series is how well the creators managed to tell the story by showing us that we don't really have a reliable narrator, as each episode is shown from entirely different perspective, and through this procedure we can learn even more about those characters, what they focus on, and what they don't think about that much. It's not something brand new in storytelling, but it feels like it's been a long time since anyone used this concept, and it made me crave for more stories like this one. The one character that I believe started making the whole show a little bit viral was Vanessa, a single mom who on the outside may seem quite reckless, but in reality she truly cares about her kids and works hard so they could feel safe and loved. I gotta say, I was not convinced with her personality at first, but the more we saw her day-to-day life, the more depth she gained, and that made it all but an even more investing story to follow. Not like the other characters were any worse. I think the amazing thing about Win or Lose is how every person who watched the show could have resonated with the entirely different character despite their age, gender, or even their culture. They're all diverse and yet feel familiar, and that's something a lot of recent fictional stories fail to deliver, so once again a huge applause for Pixar. From what I gathered, the fan favorite character is Francis, a side character janitor. He was supposed to be this kind of comic relief, but the way he moved and appeared out of nowhere somehow creeped me out a little bit, so I do not share the sympathy towards him. But of course, no show, especially one from a big studio, could avoid criticism entirely. Personally, I heard 2 complaints mainly. I may have missed out on some more, but let me present the 2 I faced very so often while scrolling through TikToks. Issue number 1. Christianity. You see, without spoiling you much, in the first episode we meet a girl named Lori, and the entire show starts off with her praying to get better at softball or something. Honestly, I don't see anything wrong with that, and many of you may share my opinion, but others were annoyed by it and kept on whining about how religion is constantly shoved down their throats on every step they take. I don't really understand that take. Like, I come from Catholic country, and sure, there are a lot of religious topics around here, but recently it feels like it's more so to say quote mark popular to rebel against religion than support it, so from my perspective it is quite a ridiculous complaint to have. Maybe it's different in America though, I have no idea. Anyways, respect all religions, respect atheism, just don't be a dick about someone believing in something you don't, period. So, as we have that sorted out, let's move to issue number 2, deleted transgender storyline. Somehow I feel like that's a bit connected to the first issue in a perspective of, oh, so religion that not everyone believes in is fine, but the LGBT topic has to be wiped off. But let me focus on this one individually. I usually am not a big fan of LGBT themes, only and purely because most of the time people don't write them well. Of course, not always. From cartoons specifically, we have a perfect example in Owl House how to write it well, so it is clear that it's not an impossible task. Heck, BoJack Horseman was probably so far the best show to portray asexuality, so there goes another good example. And fortunately, someone from Pixar did share publicly how the concept was supposed to work like in Win or Lose. I gotta say, it is a huge shame they weren't able to follow through with this one. I only included a screenshot, but if you Google it out, you should be able to see a chunk of storyboard for this specific episode. Visually, each episode is different, and I feel like this one specifically would have been on an entirely different level. But alas, it has been thrown to trash, unfortunately. Technically, a part of this concept has stayed with us in Kai's character, but it is not that direct, and the topic of finding your true self is not the issue she is dealing with. Instead, it is the pressure to always be the best. When it comes to my own issues, I don't really have any serious ones. Like I said, I enjoyed all of the episodes. Some resonated with me more, other less. If I had to pick something to be not too happy about, it would be the finale, which itself, it was fine, but there was these two characters who kind of immediately became a new couple. It's not like you couldn't see it coming, but the flirting sequence was a bit cringeworthy. Other than that one character, Odo, felt a bit unnecessary. I felt like he was supposed to be an all-knowing deity within this universe, but ended up more as just this one character that each episode gives others random hints out of nowhere. It just felt so unnecessary. I feel like without him you wouldn't really see any difference with how the story progressed. Overall, Win or Lose is possibly one of my favorite works from Pixar. It got me invested, and I just couldn't wait to get to know each character from their perspective and how their issues would be portrayed, as each episode had elements of unique animation style accompanying the main one. If you have not seen this show yet and you want to watch something simple but very heartwarming, make sure to give Win or Lose a chance, unlike Disney, who didn't think about promoting this show much.